Hello students, today I will be discussing priority CPU scheduling algorithm, and in this case every process will be associated with some priority number, and for this example priority number 1 will be considered as the highest priority, priority 2 is the second highest, and priority 3 as the third highest. Okay, so 1 means first priority, 2 means second priority, 3 means third priority, and so on. Okay, so if you see, this is again very simple example. Why it is simple example? Because arrival time is 0. Whichever scheduling algorithm you are doing, you have to make sure that if there is an arrival time given, which is different for every process, so you have to be very careful about arrival time. As I always mention, if arrival time is 0, this is the simplest algorithm. So let's start. So if you see, we are having three processes, P1, P2 and P3. With each process, there is a priority number associated, and each process has a burst time as well as arrival time of each process is given as. Now when we see this particular problem, what we understand, P3 is having the priority 1, that is the first priority, P2 is having the priority 2, and P1 has the priority 3. And this is how they are going to get the chance to get inside the CPU. So let's write our Gantt chart. So we'll write at time 0, which is the process which gets a chance to get inside the CPU. The highest priority is process number P3. So P3 gets a chance to get inside the CPU, and let's write P3. What is the burst time of P3? The burst time of P3 is 3. So at time 3, P3 is fully completed. Next, process P2 with priority number 2 or the second priority will get a chance to get inside the CPU. So let's write P2 in our Gantt chart. What is the burst time of P2? 8. So at time 11, P2 will be fully completed. And the last process which gets a chance to get inside the CPU is process P1. So let's write it in our Gantt chart. Okay, and what is the burst time of process P1? Burst time of process P1 is 4, and 11 plus 4 is 15. So at time 15, process P1 will be fully completed. Now is the time to calculate the turnaround time as well as the waiting time of each and every process, as well as we will calculate average turnaround time and average waiting time. Okay, so let's start with P1. What is the formula of turnaround time? Process completion time minus process arrival time. So what is the completion time of process P1? 15. So let's write 15. And what time process P1 arrived? It arrived at time 0. So 15 minus 0 is 15. Next turnaround time of P2 is 11. Turnaround time of P2. Let's calculate the turnaround time of P2. What is process completion time of P2? 11. And arrival time is 0. So 11 minus 0 is 11. Next is turnaround time of P3. What is the process completion time of P3? 3. So let's write 3. And what is the arrival time of P3? 0. So 3 minus 0 is 3. So what is the average waiting time? 15 plus 3 plus 11. So it's 26, 29. So that is 9.6 milliseconds. Now is the time to calculate waiting time. So what is waiting time of P1? Turnaround time minus burst time. So turnaround time of P1 is 15. And what is the burst time? That is 4. So 15 minus 4 is 11. Waiting time of P2. So turnaround time of P2 is 11 minus burst time of P2. Burst time of P2 is 8. So 11 minus 8. And waiting time of P3. Turnaround time of P3 is 3 minus burst time of P3. That is 3. So 3 minus 3 is 0. Okay, so 15 minus 4, it is 11. 11 minus 8 is 3, and 3 minus 3 is 0. So that is 14 divided by 3, 4.6 milliseconds. What if the arrival time is given? There are different arrival times associated with each process. So you will consider the arrival time of the process which has come first, and then depending on the arrival time, you will then check the priority of the process. Okay. By default, priority scheduling is preemptive scheduling. It simply means that suppose if any process with the lowest priority is running inside the CPU, and if the process with higher priority arrives, then that lower priority process has to be sent out of the CPU. That's all for the day. Thank you.